Yo, what's going on, people? You're watching That Christian Guy podcast. We're back out here again. Yo, just wanted to say a quick thank you to everyone for the love, for the shares, everyone that's been hitting me up in between, everyone that's been like, yo, keep vlogging. Yeah, thank you to all of you guys, man. And in terms of today, what I wanted to get to essentially was, I'm trying to clear it in my head, I think acceptance is the key theme that I'm talking about here. A lot of the times we can be kind of swayed in terms of our actions or thoughts and opinions by what other people do and what other people think of us. And in terms of achieving true freedom, you know, one of the important paradigms of our existence here on earth is the fact that we have free will as human beings, you know. God doesn't constantly intervene in all of our actions. God doesn't constantly dictate all of our actions and then restrict what we can and what we can't do. That's the life that we live. However, what does tend to happen is just based on how other people react to us or how we feel other people may react or think about us, we can end up restricting our own actions. And obviously that can work in a good or positive way. I don't want to do something to someone because how it's going to make them feel, so like from an empathetic or a sympathetic point of view, but also it can be just like fair. So, you know, you might have a dream or a goal or something that you want to achieve, but you might be afraid of failure, and not just simply afraid of failure, but afraid of how you will look, how you will be perceived in the world, and whether you'll be viewed as a failure by the world, you know. So we start to have all of these things kind of limiting our actions, and they can be quite debilitating. They can stop us from moving or acting freely. In social situations, it can also reflect on the choices that we make. So we might want to do something, but then we find ourselves not doing it just on the basis of trying to fit in or blend in with the crowd. And in that sense, you know, our actions and our thoughts can be corrupted, and our freedoms again end up disappearing. So what I wanted to just paint the picture of essentially is the fact that, number one, we're giving away our freedoms, our God-given freedoms that we already have that are so precious to us, I would say. And then also on top of that, just the fact that as much as we tried to paint these pictures and such, it's actually not that important. It's just actually not that much of a big deal. At some point in the future, you know, if we fast forward 200 years, you're going to find there may not even be anybody on the planet that remembers you or has any recollection of you ever having even existed. You may be able to have some kind of impact on the world, one would hope, but even, you know, even those people who have impacted the world massively quickly fade away. If you kind of backtrack in order to give a good perception at this 200 years, and you think of how many significant characters you know from 200 years in the past, you probably get yourself quite limited. Perhaps 10 to 20 names might be popping into your head. If you think how many of those people are actually people that are connected to you or your family directly, then that list gets even like smaller, you know. Generally speaking, we tend to map things maybe to like the First or the Second World War, so that's like 1914, so we're talking about essentially 100 years and some change. And even that is a stretch. So I just want to encourage certain freedoms in terms of freedoms of thoughts, freedoms of expression, so that it wouldn't be limited by what people who are sharing the world or sharing the earth with us would think. If it comes down to, you know, if it's a comment that you might get on YouTube, you know what I mean, that's affecting you, if it's what people say when they see you in a particular position, if your principles and your motives are right, and you know that what you're doing is right biblically and also right with God, I just want to encourage you to just pursue those things and pursue yourself going down that path, you know, to not be stopped or to not feel like you need to doctor yourself just based on what people are going to say or what people are going to feel. You're always going to be able to find somebody to hate you. You're always going to be able to find somebody to hate what you do. That's just the nature of doing anything of significance or polarizing, you know. If you start to draw out great moments, if you take the civil rights movement, there's people that oppose the civil rights movement. I've seen like crazy, like sometimes I'll like think of myself, so you know, I'm out here posting videos and whatnot. I expect, you know, dislikes every now and again. I expect the mad comments now and again, especially if I talk about Meghan and Harry apparently. But yeah, I think I'm way past that in terms of the actual care factor attached to it. Then if I think of the reasons why, it's just the level of significance I think that we can put on these things sometimes. I know that a person's thoughts or opinions could never in any way reflect on my value or what I think of myself. You know, just because there's no connection there. If I tell you that you're terrible, it doesn't make you terrible. If I tell you that you're great, by that same token, it doesn't make you great. You know, as a Christian, I'd always say our identity is found in Christ. If you start finding your identity in other things, and other things either add or subtract to your value, you're going to find yourself just being mad distorted, because often you'll be encouraged to go in completely the wrong direction to what you know that you want to be going in. And then we find ourselves in a place of often unhappiness or such, just because one day we realize we wasted our lives, or we didn't pursue our dreams, or we didn't pursue things as rigorously as we could have, just because we cared, or we were concerned about what other people would say. So what I want to do from this is just encourage those freedoms. You know, think of the things that you want to do, the things that you want to achieve with your life, which, you know, by that same token, are also going to be forgotten largely unless you do something super duper out there. But you know, all the big celebrities of our age and stuff, your Beyoncé's, your Kanye's, whoever else in between, they're all going to fade away. They're all going to be forgotten about. Once we stop listening, the next generation listens a little less. I had someone say to me, who's Jay-Z, the other day. You know, it's how wild it is already. Like, people can be still here and still living, and they're already starting to fade away as far as the next generations are concerned. And that's just how it goes, you know. So don't be burdened, don't be in shackles and chains under the basis of what people's opinions are of you or what people think. Because I often find, and I had to kind of correct this with myself, as much as I was looking at other people and saying, okay, yeah, that's not right, that someone might, you know, give you a certain crazy bit of feedback or just say something negative and spiteful. I think the reason it affected me perhaps previously was just because of my own pride and my own ego is what was getting hurt essentially. I felt that value that was coming from them was diminished, and it hurt my ego and my self-esteem and that kind of thing because of how much I thought of myself. And that's again another thing that you kind of have to let go in order of being free from people's opinions. If you start thinking too highly of yourself and then something happens, it's going to make you think less highly of yourself. So in terms of where I'm at now, let's navigate, you know. If you start from the perspective of knowing where your value comes from, my value could never come from anything that I do. My value could never come from any of my own created glory or anything like that. Glory doesn't belong to me, so I'm not burdened by it. I don't feel like everything I do has to be super duper awesome in order for me to be okay about myself and okay about what I do. If I did, I probably wouldn't even be talking to you right now. So that's where we are. So long story short, be free, exercise your free will, do the things that you know, if they're principally right and they're biblical, go ahead. Don't be afraid of what people are going to think. Don't fear failure. Fail, learn from it, move on, do it better next time, and keep living. Yeah? Till next time, we out. Peace.